clips, headlines, and references being shared across the community, organized for quick browsing. Use it to spot patterns, pull links, and build your own research list. Qnotables.com. Browse the notables, verify the facts, stay informed. All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here. From the Q Research Board's February 15, 2026, Margot Martin, Special Assistant to the President and Communications Advisor, posted a short clip on X featuring President Trump reacting with bemused curiosity to the phrase, "Devils in baggy pants, what's that all about?" The lighthearted moment shows Trump turning to Martin with a puzzled expression and grin as she jokes about the odd expression, framing it as a casual, behind-the-scenes exchange. The video, shared February 13, 2026, has garnered significant engagement with over 1,400 likes, hundreds of reposts, and thousands of views, circulating widely as a humorous, relatable glimpse into Trump's off-duty personality amid his administration's busy schedule. European governments say Alexei Navalny was killed using epibetadine, a powerful neurotoxin associated with South American poison dart frogs. The allegation is being framed as a chemical weapon-style killing and has triggered renewed calls for accountability and international action through chemical weapons bodies. A new report argues generative AI is moving fast enough to threaten Hollywood's traditional production model, pitching a future where high-budget films could be produced with far fewer people and lower costs. The piece is fueling debate over jobs, union leverage, and how studios protect their business as AI tools improve. Lara Logan's podcast released an episode featuring filmmaker Mike Smith, known for Out of Shadows, focused on Epstein-related material and broader claims about influence networks. The episode is being circulated heavily among alternative media audiences and is driving renewed attention to the show's recent Epstein coverage. Smith, a former Hollywood stuntman and action director who suffered a life-altering accident that shifted his perspective, discusses his film's explorations of alleged media manipulation, Hollywood's hidden agendas, ritualistic abuse, child trafficking networks linked to figures like Jeffrey Epstein, and symbolic programming in entertainment. The conversation ties directly to the recent Department of Justice releases of over 3.5 million pages of Epstein-related records, including emails, videos, and images under the Epstein-File's Transparency Act. Topics include mainstream media censorship and lack of sustained coverage on the files, alleged code words such as pizza, cheese pizza, hot dogs, and pasta referenced in Epstein communications and tied to older Pizzagate-era claims and FBI slang documents, pattern recognition in elite networks, narrative warfare, psychological operations, Q-related PSYOP discussions, and the personal costs faced by whistleblowers, including shadow bans, suppression, and institutional protection of powerful figures. Online communities are circulating posts tying Kirill Dmitriev to WWG1WGA messaging and awakening rhetoric. Dmitriev, a senior Russian investment official and presidential envoy, has drawn attention before for using Q-related slogans online, and new reposts are amplifying that association. A growing online push is demanding Epstein-related records be preserved and shared with minimal redactions, with critics arguing the public still can't see key information. At the same time, major releases have faced backlash after redaction errors exposed victim information, forcing withdrawals and corrections. President Trump attacked Bill Maher in a social media post, calling a prior White House visit a total waste of time and labeling Maher a jerk. The clash is now a top entertainment politics storyline, with coverage focusing on Trump's language and Maher's public response. Newly released Epstein-related emails show Jeffrey Epstein helped arrange a White House visit for filmmaker Woody Allen. The reporting is fueling fresh scrutiny over how Epstein used access and contacts to facilitate introductions and experiences for people in politics and entertainment. Renewed attention is on Epstein's death and autopsy-related claims, as online commentators argue important details still don't add up. The broader context is that new document releases have reignited public interest in what investigators reviewed, what remains sealed, and how much transparency the public will get. President Trump nominated Kevin Warsh to lead the Federal Reserve, setting up confirmation hearings and a major policy fight over interest rates and central bank independence. Coverage is tracking what Warsh would do on inflation, rate cuts, and how the Fed responds under political pressure. Fresh reporting is resurfacing and extending scrutiny around Tony Blair's connections to Epstein-era circles, including meetings and references in documents and reporting. The storyline is being driven by newly discussed records and renewed interest in who met with Epstein, when, and why. The latest Epstein document cycle is also intersecting with online Q movement narratives, with multiple outlets noting how online communities are using keywords and fragments from releases to rebuild old storylines. The result is a new wave of viral claims and counterclaims across major platforms. Posts circulating in that same ecosystem quote Kirill Dmitriev claiming Q and Anons enabled the awakening, and the line is being used as a rally point in some channels. The practical reality is that the quote is functioning as messaging ammunition inside online political subcultures. Newly highlighted emails show Jeffrey Epstein sought hidden cameras at his Palm Beach home, with one exchange referencing concealment in tissue boxes. The details are being cited as more evidence of systematic surveillance and control tactics inside Epstein's operation. The name Rachel Chandler, also referenced as Ray Chandler in online discussions, is trending again alongside Epstein-file chatter. Much of the spread is being driven by social media speculation and forum threads, with users pushing screenshots and interpretations across platforms. Finally, image-based posts tied to searches for LLL are circulating as a meme-style curiosity item, with users sharing odd results and spinning theories in comment threads. Thomas Massie is facing backlash after online posts accused him of promoting claims that 4 men were pedophiles and sex traffickers based solely on name matches in Epstein-related materials. Commentators are warning about reckless identification and the risk of targeting innocent people when names surface in large document dumps. Massie has not publicly addressed every specific claim tied to the posts circulating. Senator Ted Budd is being cited in posts claiming he introduced a bill titled the U.S.-Israel Futures Act, described as expanding Israel's access to advanced U.S. technology. The claim is driving heated reaction online, with critics framing it as a taxpayer-backed technology transfer issue. The key questions being raised are what the bill language actually authorizes and what guardrails or restrictions it includes. Secretary Marco Rubio's speech at the Munich Security Conference is being recirculated with supporters calling it a standout address. Posts highlight themes of deterrence, alliances, and U.S. posture toward major adversaries. The clip's renewed spread is fueling discussion about Rubio's influence on foreign policy messaging heading into the next legislative fights. Hillary Clinton is being quoted saying that Bill Clinton and Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump. The claim is circulating as part of a broader immigration argument over enforcement records and how deportations are counted. The dispute centers on which metrics are used, the time windows compared, and how removals versus returns are categorized.
At shop.isawaya.com, everything you buy supports Acun.top, the place where people talk freely no matter what. Check out our Acun Honey Pot, a jar of yummy honey that's as strong as your voice. Put it on toaster and tea. It's not just honey, it's freedom in every bite. Then there's Acun Butter, a smooth handmade skin cream that makes you feel good while you fight for what's right. Awesome wood and pieces for display only. Hang them up or set them out. They're for showing off Acun's tough spirit. Want to help even more? Get a proto membership. So go to shop.isawaya.com now and grab some goodies. Help Acun.top keep free speech alive, and let's keep the ideas flowing loud and free.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Boards, February 15, 2026. Joe Rogan is being quoted reacting to Epstein-related material by calling it demonic. a clip now spreading widely. The comments are being used by accounts pushing for more transparency and less redaction in Epstein records. The moment is also driving fresh attention to which documents have been released, which remain sealed, and who controls further disclosure. Florida First Lady Casey DeSantis is being cited in posts warning about weed killer residues in bread and urging closer attention to food inputs. The story is fueling debate about glyphosate testing, labeling standards, and what regulators consider safe thresholds. The practical takeaway being pushed by supporters is consumer caution and pressure for clearer food reporting. As more Epstein-related names and references circulate, some accounts are pointing to Qdrop 3050 and the line, "This is not just about sex trafficking." The reference is being used to frame the Epstein story as part of a broader influence and blackmail narrative. The effect online is to tie document chatter to wider claims about power networks and intelligence operations. A viral post is promoting a claim that a Cannibal Club service manager named Raven Chan is the sister of Priscilla Chan and connected to Mark Zuckerberg's family. The allegation is spreading as a coincidence storyline with screenshots and name matching. Online users are circulating references to the last will and testament of Jeffrey Epstein, presenting it as a key document in the larger Epstein narrative. The discussion centers on what assets were structured, who the beneficiaries were, and what legal maneuvers were used to manage liability. The renewed interest is also pushing questions about court filings, estate administration, and which documents are publicly available. The 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics remain a major topic across political and cultural feeds, where elite competition collides with intense debates over athlete expression, geopolitical flashpoints, and enforcement of rules. The IOC's strict Rule 50 ban on political demonstrations led to the disqualification of Ukrainian skeleton racer Vladislav Heraskevich for wearing a helmet honoring athletes killed in the Russia-Ukraine war, while he accused the committee of double standards after an Italian snowboarder faced no penalty for displaying a Russian flag. Russian and Belarusian athletes compete only as individual neutral athletes under tight eligibility restrictions, excluding those with ties to the invasion or military service. U.S. freestyle skier Hunter Hess drew backlash, including sharp criticism from President Trump calling him a real loser, after saying wearing the flag does not mean he endorses current U.S. policies, amid broader discomfort from some American Olympians with immigration enforcement and related issues. Protests in Milan and Cortina have targeted games costs, environmental concerns, and the limited presence of U.S. ICE agents supporting the American delegation under Italian oversight. Competitive controversies include curling double-touch accusations against Canadian teams, ice dance judging disputes favoring a French pair over Americans, debunked rumors of ski jump crotch filler injections, and faulty metal clasps. Security remains elevated with no-fly zones, drone monitoring, and concerns over lone actor threats and recent rail disruptions linked to suspected arson. The Games continue to function as both a premier sporting event and a prominent geopolitical stage, amplifying ongoing conflicts, national policy tensions, and host nation dynamics across online platforms. Break time, one's tractors. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is being linked in posts to support for Dr. Mary Talley Bowden in ongoing medical policy disputes. The coverage is being framed as a fight over professional discipline, speech, and medical decision-making during and after the COVID era. Supporters say the case highlights institutional pressure. Critics argue it is politicized, while the central issue remains what specific legal action is being taken and in which forum. General Michael Flynn's recent clips and commentary on fifth-generation warfare, 5GW, emphasize how concentrated media ownership enables narrative control, information operations, and the shaping of public perception to influence political outcomes. Flynn argues that a handful of powerful corporations dominate the flow of information, limiting diverse viewpoints and eroding trust in institutions through coordinated messaging, censorship pressures, and selective framing. Tactics he frames as modern battlefield tools in a non-kinetic conflict over minds and culture. As of 2026, reports and analyses consistently identify 6 major conglomerates as controlling the vast majority of U.S. media. Comcast, owner of NBC Universal, MSNBC, CNBC, and major cable internet infrastructure. The Walt Disney Company, ABC, ESPN, Disney+, Hulu, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars properties. Warner Brothers, including HBO, CNN assets amid ongoing acquisition talks with Netflix and Paramount bids. Paramount Global, CBS, Paramount+, Showtime, and MTV networks. Sony, Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures Television and Music Entertainment Holdings. And Amazon, Prime Video, MGM, United Artists, Twitch, and expanding news influencer reach. These entities, through mergers, streaming dominance, and cross-platform assets, account for the bulk of news, entertainment, film, TV, and digital content Americans consume, fueling debates over whether such consolidation inherently advances unified narratives or stifles independent voices. A motivational-style post is spreading the line, "The world will always sell you shortcuts," framed as a warning against quick fixes. The message is being used in threads about health, finance, politics, and media manipulation. It's moving as culture content rather than a reportable event, but it is gaining traction as a theme in commentary feeds. A male Epstein survivor is speaking publicly in content that is now being shared across platforms. The emphasis is on expanding attention beyond the better-known victims and highlighting how trafficking networks impact men as well. The key claims being discussed are the survivor's account, any corroborating records, and whether new legal action is being pursued. Attorney General Pam Bondi is being cited in posts claiming the DOJ released all Epstein files under the Epstein-Files Transparency Act. The claim is triggering immediate scrutiny because all files language raises questions about what remains sealed, what is redacted, and what is withheld for victim privacy or ongoing cases. A main focused data claim is circulating that home care providers reveal patterns when sorted by highest cost per claim. The post is being used to argue waste, fraud, or billing abuse in public or private reimbursement systems. The real issue is what dataset is being used, what time period it covers, and whether legitimate high-acuity care is being conflated with improper billing. A Sundance-style political analysis post claims more details surfaced about an Intel gossip story tied to a whistleblower claim involving the DNI. The framing suggests the original allegation is weak, while the surrounding narrative is being shaped for influence. The main question is what primary documents or sworn statements actually exist versus what's being asserted through commentary channels. Posts claim Vice President J.D. Vance discussed Epstein files and political consequences, and the clips are being circulated as part of the transparency push. The emphasis is on whether the government will release more records and whether political figures will be implicated or cleared. The immediate focus is what Vance actually said, what commitments were made, and what timeline, if any, was indicated. S2 News Blast is being promoted as a weekly roundup segment, aggregating trending political and investigative clips. The content is being shared as a digest for audiences tracking multiple storylines at once. A Sundance-style post claims Nancy Mace did not receive an endorsement in the South Carolina governor's race and is now pledging a scorched earth approach using Epstein politics. The story is being framed as an escalation strategy and a signal to donors and voters. The key verification point is the endorsement status, what Mace has publicly pledged, and how that impacts the primary field. Secretary Marco Rubio delivered a speech at the Munich Security Conference that is now being widely shared, with supporters calling it a defining moment. The remarks focused on NATO, deterrence, and rebuilding trust among allies, framing U.S. leadership as essential to stability while warning against complacency toward adversarial powers. In follow-up comments to European leaders, Rubio said the United States does not seek separation from Europe, but wants to revitalize long-standing alliances. The message emphasized shared history, defense cooperation, and economic ties as the foundation for future coordination. the White House posted a Valentine's Day message on social media, encouraging Americans to share it. The post is circulating as a light-hearted outreach effort amid an otherwise heavy political news cycle.
Every voice matters. The power of free speech is more important than ever. Imagine a place where you can share your thoughts freely, explore new ideas, and engage in meaningful conversations anonymously. With online anonymity, you can express yourself without fear of judgment. It's about freedom, creativity, and connection. Join the conversation that matters. Embrace your voice. Celebrate your freedom. Visit 8kun.top today. That's 8kun.top.
All reports can be found on Q Research or Qnotables.com. Notables do not equal endorsements. We are researchers who deal in open source information, reasoned argument, and dank memes. We do battle in the sphere of ideas and ideas only. We neither need nor condone the use of force in our work here.
From the Q Research Board's February 15, 2026, Hillary Clinton recently commented, "Threats towards trans people are threats towards all women." The comment recirculates amid debates over language, policy, and how public figures frame gender-related issues. Commentators argue that transgender ideology erodes sex-based rights for women by prioritizing gender identity over biological sex, leading to policies that allow transgender women access to female-only spaces such as prisons, refuges, and bathrooms. Reports indicate this has resulted in incidents where transgender inmates in women's facilities have assaulted female prisoners, placing the safety of biological women below the feelings of transgender individuals. Analyses state that such ideology undermines child protection by promoting the idea that children can change gender, potentially leading to medical interventions that some later regret. Posts claim transgender ideology harms women in sports by permitting transgender women to compete in female categories, displacing biological women from opportunities and records due to physical advantages. Critics frame these changes as reinforcing patriarchal norms under the guise of progress, with demands for state intervention to regulate speech and behavior in favor of transgender recognition. Former President Barack Obama said Democrats need to stop virtue signaling if they want to regain control of government. The remarks are being discussed as a critique of messaging strategy and voter outreach failures. Dan Scavino posted a Valentine's Day message on social media, which has been widely shared among supporters. The post fits into a broader pattern of holiday-themed political messaging online. Posts praising online activists for standing firm are circulating, framed as morale-boosting messages within political communities. The content is largely motivational rather than tied to a specific event. Reports from Japan are being cited online, claiming the country is ending approvals for Muslim cemeteries, with explanations tied to cremation customs and land use rules. The issue is being debated in the context of immigration, religious accommodation, and local regulations. Gates has voiced support for digital ID systems, including biometrics and financial integration, stating they can improve efficiency in services, reduce fraud, and enable better access to banking and government programs. The comments recirculate amid wider concerns about privacy, mass surveillance, and centralized financial control, with critics arguing such systems create infrastructure for tracking individuals' movements, transactions, and behaviors without sufficient safeguards. These debates intersect with recent developments around Flock Safety's automated license plate reader, ALPR cameras, which have faced widespread shutdowns and contract terminations across U.S. cities in early 2026 due to privacy breaches and unauthorized data access. Mountain View, California, disabled all 30 of its Flock cameras after discovering federal agencies, including ATF, GSA Inspector General, Air Force bases, and others, accessed local data without permission from August to November 2024. Santa Cruz terminated its contract citing ICE-related data sharing concerns, while Flagstaff, Austin, which ended its program but saw loophole access via neighbors, Denver, signaling replacement, and others like Cambridge and Staunton have canceled or paused Flock partnerships over fears of dragnet surveillance, improper federal immigration enforcement use, and lack of local control. Amazon's Ring canceled a planned integration with Flock after backlash, including a Super Bowl ad highlighting privacy risks. Critics tie these events to broader surveillance trends, warning that biometric digital ID frameworks could expand similar networks for real-time tracking, eroding personal freedoms under the guise of security and convenience. A 1998 quote from former President Bill Clinton, delivered during a commencement address at Portland State University, is circulating again online. In a little more than 50 years, there will be no majority race in the United States. The remark resurfaces amid demographic discussions, with U.S. Census Bureau projections indicating the non-Hispanic white population will drop below 50% by 2045, shrinking from 199 million in 2020 to 179 million in 2060, while Hispanic, Black, Asian, and multiracial populations grow. Posts attribute these shifts to Democrat-led immigration policies, including the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act under President Lyndon B. Johnson, which eliminated national origin quotas, favoring Europeans and prioritized family reunification, leading to increased immigration from Latin America and Asia. Commentators claim subsequent Democrat administrations, such as under President Joe Biden, exacerbated immigration explosions through lax border enforcement, with net immigration reaching 3.3 million annually in 2023 and 2024, far exceeding levels under Republican administrations like Donald Trump's first term, where annual averages were below 1 million. These policies, according to online discussions, have driven unauthorized immigration surges, contributing to faster demographic changes and straining resources. Reporting has resurfaced claims that Steve Bannon discussed plans involving Jeffrey Epstein related to opposition to Pope Francis. The story is being re-examined as part of broader scrutiny of Epstein's political connections. Emails attributed to Representative Lauren Boebert are circulating with claims involving torture references and disturbing language. The material is being shared as part of the wider Epstein document discussion, with questions about context and authenticity. Immigration court data is being cited to claim that 8 in 10 asylum seekers are now being denied by judges, as the Trump administration pushes stricter border enforcement. The numbers are being used to argue that policy shifts are having measurable effects. Old clips involving actor Isaac Kappy are resurfacing online, spreading as archival internet material amid renewed interest in early QAnon narratives. Kappy, known for roles in films such as Thor and Terminator Salvation, emerged as a prominent figure in the QAnon movement starting in 2017, shortly after the anonymous Q began posting cryptic messages on 4chan. Reports indicate he followed Q drops from their inception in October 2017 and gained traction in QAnon communities by August 2018 after appearing on Alex Jones's InfoWars, where he accused celebrities like Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg, and Seth Green of pedophilia without evidence, framing these claims as part of a global child sex trafficking cabal. Posts describe Kappy as a Hollywood whistleblower who became a hero among QAnon followers for his allegations, often shared via live streams and social media, including threats and coded references tied to the movement's slogans like, "Where we go one, we go all." Circulating footage includes Kappy's claims that actor Jim Carrey contacted him multiple times in 2018 for over 5 hours, allegedly begging for a deal with Q out of fear and discussing ritualistic practices, with Kappy accusing Carrey of extreme acts like eating kids. Kappy died in May 2019 after jumping from a bridge in Arizona, ruled a suicide by authorities, though online discussions persist with theories of foul play linked to his involvement. Recent posts amplify his videos, tying them to broader Epstein-related disclosures and claiming vindication for early QAnon figures like Kappy. Venture capitalist Reid Hoffman is being named in posts claiming he was part of Epstein's inner circle and stayed at multiple Epstein properties. The claims are tied to flight logs and visitor records being re-examined. Commentary from Ali Carter alleging misconduct tied to Sean Diddy Combs is circulating again, with supporters noting she has spoken publicly on the topic since 2020. The claims are being reshared amid broader entertainment industry scrutiny. In the UK, MP Rupert Lowe announced the launch of a new national political party called Restore Britain. The move is being framed as a challenge to established parties and a response to voter dissatisfaction. Reports state the FBI opened more than 1,200 assessments, involving sensitive figures such as politicians, journalists, and clergy under Director Christopher Wray. The disclosures are fueling debate over oversight and civil liberties. Messages calling for positivity and unity among online activists are circulating, emphasizing morale and personal well-being over confrontation. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is being quoted urging the breakdown of barriers between civilian and defense sectors. The remarks align with Europe's push to expand defense production capacity. Posts titled "The Epstein-Files" are circulating with extreme claims about global abuse networks. The content is moving largely through alternative media channels and is being used to argue for further investigations. Claims involving Mark Carney's personal life and family are circulating online without supporting documentation. The posts are spreading primarily as speculation rather than confirmed reporting. Dr. Stephen Ralston, a maternal-fetal medicine specialist testifying as an expert witness for Planned Parenthood, stated during a Missouri court hearing that infants and toddlers may not be fully conscious or capable of feeling pain. Court records from the Jackson County proceedings show Ralston responding to questions about when consciousness begins by saying, "I think it's different for different individuals," and adding, "I don't know that a 1-year-old experiences pain because I don't know that a 1-year-old experiences consciousness." The testimony occurred in a lawsuit filed by Comprehensive Health of Planned Parenthood Great Plains and Planned Parenthood Great Rivers, alongside the ACLU, challenging Missouri's abortion regulations following the 2024 voter-approved Reproductive Freedom Initiative, which enshrined abortion rights in the state constitution. Posts circulating the testimony frame it as evidence of dehumanizing logic in abortion advocacy, fueling renewed scrutiny over fetal personhood, the ethics of late-term procedures, and definitions of pain and consciousness in medical policy. Authorities in Queensland, Australia, announced a ban on more than a dozen hate symbols as part of an anti-Semitism crackdown. The move expands restrictions on extremist imagery and gestures. Moderna issued a warning that U.S. jobs could be affected after the Food and Drug Administration refused to review its application for the mRNA 1010 seasonal influenza vaccine, citing concerns over the trial design. FDA's Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER, led by Director Vinay Prasad, sent a refusal to file letter dated February 3, 2026, stating the Phase 3 study was not adequate and well controlled because the comparator arm used a licensed standard dose flu vaccine rather than a higher dose or CDC-recommended option for older adults, which the agency argued did not reflect the best available standard of care and potentially exposed participants, particularly those 65 and older, to increased risk of severe illness. Moderna described the decision as inconsistent with prior FDA guidance and communications that had accepted the study design, expressing surprise and requesting a Type A meeting to discuss a path forward. The vaccine has been accepted for review in the European Union, Canada, and Australia. Reporting has resurfaced details from newly released Epstein files showing that Emirati billionaire Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, former chairman and CEO of global logistics giant DP World, exchanged hundreds of emails with Jeffrey Epstein over more than a decade, including sexually explicit content, discussions of women in escorts, shared videos, and a 2009 message where Epstein wrote to bin Sulayem, "Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video." Court documents and congressional disclosures, including identifications by Representatives Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna, after viewing unredacted files, confirm bin Sulayem as the recipient of that email and highlight a close relationship where Epstein described him as a trusted friend and one of my most trusted friends in every sense of the word. Bin Sulayem has not been accused of criminal wrongdoing related to Epstein. The connection draws scrutiny because bin Sulayem hosted Prince William for a tour of DP World's London Gateway Port on March 14, 2016, and the following day attended an event with him at Buckingham Palace organized by one of the then Duke of Cambridge's charities, the United for Wildlife Transport Task Force. DP World served as a founding corporate partner and major donor to Prince William's Earthshot Prize environmental initiative, contributing at least $1.3 million, with bin Sulayem appearing alongside William at related events in Dubai. Following the Epstein-file revelations, Bin Sulayem resigned from his roles at DP World effective immediately. Britain's Charity Commission began reviewing Earthshot's funding ties, and anti-monarchy group Republic reported the charity over the donor links. Kensington Palace has stated that Prince William and the Princess of Wales are deeply concerned by the ongoing Epstein revelations, amid broader fallout including separate scrutiny of royal family associations. Content titled Khazarian Mafia, The God Eaters, circulates as a multi-part video and podcast series created by Charles Reagan Swindoll Jr., also credited as Chuck Swindoll Jr., promoted heavily on platforms like YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and alternative media channels. The series, originating around 2023 with episodes continuing into 2024-2025, spans several hours across parts, including a main introduction, 136 runtime, Part 2, over 2 hours. Part 3A, Menticiding the Mind, around 3 hours with uncensored versions adding adrenochrome discussions, Black Sun symbolism, and mind control history. And Part 3B, The CIA is Not Your Friend, nearly 2.5 hours focusing on alleged CIA crimes against humanity. Playlists aggregate the episodes under titles like God Eaters or Khazarian Mafia series, often reposted in niche communities on Rumble, Substack, and Facebook groups. The material blends historical claims about the Khazarian Mafia, described as ancient bloodlines descending from the Khazar Empire, circa 7th to 10th century CE, that allegedly converted to Judaism and later formed secretive elite networks, with ideological commentary accusing them of spiritual parasitism, feeding on humanity's divine essence, God, through ignorance, falsified histories, psychological manipulation, and control mechanisms. Swindoll frames the group as a multi-bloodline cabal not tied to a single ethnicity that has allegedly engineered false realities, projected blame, and used tools like media, intelligence agencies, and occult symbolism to eviscerate populations, tying into broader conspiracy narratives about global power structures, mind control, including menticiding, and satanic or Luciferian influences. The content gains traction in alternative and truth-seeking audiences, with reposts emphasizing patterns of deception and calls for awakening, though mainstream sources dismiss it as fringe or anti-Semitic pseudo-history.
Don'tDeleteMeBro.com. 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 Share the site with others. Don'tDeleteMeBro.com. 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 Share the site with others. Don'tDeleteMeBro.com.
That's all for now. Stay alert, stay informed, and never hand your thinking over to anyone on a screen, including me. God bless you, God bless our troops, and God bless the